The views and opinions expressed by John and DJ do not reflect those of any intelligent or rational human being and are solely the property of the Brightside Chat.
This show is a proud member of the Nerdy Legion Podcast Network. Get more at nerdylegion.com. Enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Bright Side and I almost choked there. And issue number 164. How we doing, John?
I'm the same as I was an hour ago, man.
An hour ago, I know.
Yeah.
I think our pre-show might be longer than our show.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, I'm doing great.
This is a fantastic green room we have set up here at the Bright Side Chat. We're just hanging out. We got cookies,
snacks. We got beer. We got
you got your green M&Ms over there. Yeah, because you know what those do. Anybody that grew up in the 80s will get that reference. All right. Yeah, we don't have much of a show today. Not to kick anybody away, but it's you guys will see the timestamp, and you know us. I mean, we're saying we don't have a lot to talk about, and we're like, but it says 2.5 hours on the thing. So, hey, let's see what we end up. And the only way to do that, John, we got to get into the store.
We do.
So, you ready?
I am.
All right. Hey, I'm back in the store. And again, it's nice and warm in here. Chilly here.
It is. It's 71 today in Texas, so.
Oh, must be nice. That's actually coming up. We have a comment on temperature coming up in mailbag.
All right.
So, great comments we get.
I know.
We'll take them all.
Let's talk about the weather.
Talk about the weather. What's the weather in your area? Let us know. We'll talk about it next week.
At some point, we'll have so many that weather comments won't make the cut.
Oh, I know. We'll get there someday.
But we're not there yet.
No,
so.
Another 3 years. Another 3 years, and we'll have like double digits.
Right.
Comments, not listeners.
Yeah.
So how's the store going, buddy?
Good. I had a great weekend, actually.
Woo!
Yeah, really good. I don't even know why.
That's why we have all these horse devories in the green room.
Exactly.
You're celebrating.
I blew my wad on snacks, on tapas and alcohol.
Oh, that's good. That's
Horse
good.
Dovers.
Horse Dovers. That's it. There you go. That's good. Awesome.
But yeah, I had a like unexpectedly good weekend.
It? Do you know?
It was
any books?
Just
or
a lot.
anything?
Well, no, not even. I mean, I sold my regular comics, but no, just people coming in and buying stuff. Like I sold a lot of toys. I just had a busy weekend. You know, a couple of big board games. Yeah, a lot of graphic novels and stuff. So yeah,
awesome.
Need more of that, please.
Yeah. It's exactly.
I can pay my bills this week, so
yeah, that's the thing. Same up here. I can't. We were talking earlier. I'm like I can't work, but it's like, and I got people like, we're gonna see you this week. I hope so. And they're like, look, I get paid by what I do. So if I don't work, I don't eat.
Right. So if I can see you, I will.
I will. Trust me. That's the problem with what I do. It's like, but anyways, all right. You ready to just get to some mailbag?
Sure.
All right.
I want to hear about the weather.
Yeah. Well,
I'm on pins and needles.
I know. Let me see. What do we got here from mailbag? Is it
can't fake that sound?
Nope, can't fake that sound. I gotta find a better way of organizing all these. I just curl them up in a ball and throw them in.
Yeah.
So now I gotta
just get one of those little spikes, and you can slam the papers down on.
Oh yeah, and
just watch your hand.
Exactly, I'll spike my hand.
You'll be like the second coming of Christ with your hand. I have my stigmata.
Christ. Yeah, he's Jesus Christ. No, he's just stupid.
Yeah.
Hence our earlier conversation. That's like that. Remember on The Simpsons when they were trying to baby-proof the house? And this is an early episode.
I don't know.
They're trying to baby-proof the house, and Homer goes around with a marker, and he puts a bunny rabbit face around all the outlets. because the two eyes and then the thing looked like a bunny rabbit, like when the two slits for the plug. But the outlet, and they're like, and Marge is like, you can't do that. Just like, she'll play with it and be like, only once.
Right.
Okay. All right. First comment this week. Theo, man of many words, commented on YouTube. Enjoyed the show. That's
awesome.
Our man Theo.
Yep.
Thank you.
Short and to the point.
Short and to the point. That's what everybody needs. Oh, they enjoyed the show. I should check this out too. Thanks, Theo. We need more people like you. Carl coming in hot. 72 Fahrenheit here in Austin.
Oh, he's in Austin?
He's in Austin. Yeah, he's our buddy down there in Austin. He's going to come see you someday, remember?
Yeah, I do remember.
Make the 3-hour drive or whatever you said it is.
Actually, that was warmer than we were last week at this time. So
yeah, you said you were like 55, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were kind of chilly there.
Yeah.
That's weird. You're closer to the Gulf.
My wife was in Austin last week for a couple days, so
should have told her to stop in.
I know. Go by and see Carl.
There you go. Next up. Oh, this is a good one, but we kind of have to edit this one. You know why, John? This is Dr. Joe.
Oh.
He says, I couldn't wait to listen. Yeah, I couldn't wait to. No. Listen, you know the thing. He DM'd us and he's like, I couldn't wait to listen to you guys talk about monkey meat. Beep, 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 beep. We can't do that.
Yeah.
So we'll leave out what the conversation was about, but just suffice it to say that Dr. Joe
agreed with us.
He agreed with us and couldn't wait to hear what we thought.
He was on our side.
You know what I really think? I think he couldn't wait to hear it because he was waiting to hear me say, this was great.
Trying to spin it. I wanted to see what he thought because maybe I was too stupid to maybe I missed something. You know?
Well, he is a doctor.
I know he right.
It's like, but yeah, I after that comment, I meant to text him back and be like, you really just wanted to hear me try to like spit shine this,
put my mad spin on it.
Yeah, I mean, I did it with Superman Year One. Why can't
you
I
did?
Do it here? All right.
I would even take Superman Year One over Monkey Meat. So.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. See what I'm saying, John? See, finally, after all this time, you see the light. You see
it's all relative.
You see exactly. Oh, and then here we go. And our buddy BJ coming in with at Brightside Chat. There are about 5,000 permanent structures in Antarctica. Yeah, they're called igloos. Still pretty cool you guys had someone listening there. I imagine they had to download the podcast when a satellite went overhead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how good their Wi-Fi is spotty at best. So.
Exactly. It's spotty at best.
And there's nothing to plug that Cat 5 cable into.
No, where do I put this? Where does this go? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, wait for that satellite to come by so we can get the next episode of Brightside.
It's hanging out of the back of a polar bear, but it's not doing anything.
No. So, hey, whatever. As long as people are listening, I don't care.
Yep.
I'll take the credit. All right, and that'll do it for this week's mailbag. Short, sweet,
awesome.
But very entertaining. Thank you, everybody.
Was, yes.
If you'd like to comment, all you got to do is tweet at us at Brightside_chat or at Arkham Comics. John, if you get something you want to talk about it here and I haven't seen it,
I will forward it
to you. You got my number.
I do.
You got my number.
And right now, you have 100% chance of getting your comment read on the air. So, so whatever it is, just put it out there.
Honestly, I am surprised we have yet to have a week without them.
Right.
I thought for sure.
Yeah, we always get something.
We get something. People talking, people chatting. Yep. That's the point of Brightside Chat. So
it's right in the name.
Questions, comments, critiques. That's what I do on my other part. I had to dedicate a whole day to that one because I get a lot of critiques. You suck. I leave those out.
Paint dry.
Yeah,
in Dolby.
That one. Oh, that one. BJ actually tagged us on that one too. Yeah, I meant to put that in, but yeah, that was a good. He tagged us and my home theater chat, but that was pretty funny. Yeah, I love that comment. I love that comment. Like listening to paint dry in Dolby Digital.
Yeah.
Like, all right, don't
funny.
listen. It is pretty funny, but it motivated the hell out of me.
Right.
Because when you're doing a podcast, it's hard to do one by yourself because try to sound entertaining when you're sitting by yourself and you're like, you can't help but have a script, but at the same time, you don't want to sound like you're reading and trying to get you. And what's so stupid is like early days, I was like, oh crap, I forgot what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
What am I doing? What am I doing? And now like the sweat's beading and you're like, oh no, I got to edit all this out. Oh no.
You could just hit pause.
Yeah.
Collect yourself
now,
and go back to work. But
yeah, I know. Now I'm a pro. What you hear, that is 100% non-professional.
Right.
So, all right. You ready to get to the news?
I am.
Oh, you know what I never did? I never uploaded the news to the latest thing. So while you're doing that, the people can be watching it on YouTube and they'll see me actually updating the news.
All right.
The pictures. So you start talking.
All right. So we're going to start with Netflix.
All right.
Looks like Netflix is shooting back-to-back sequels for Red Notice, which was the movie with Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, and The Rock. All stars are set to return for this, so that's great. I enjoyed Red Notice. Like, it wasn't the best movie I saw last year, but it was very entertaining. Yeah. So I look forward to that group of people coming back and doing 2 more movies.
I just saw it recently, and
I knew you hadn't seen it. When it first came out,
I just saw it recently, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was. It was just too much Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds. I know.
You know what I mean?
Don't like that, but I love Ryan Reynolds. So.
I like him too, but he's very. I don't know. He seems really stiff when he's telling these jokes. Like, I don't know. It feels a little forced sometimes. With him,
I guess.
But he's definitely entertaining. I mean, he's a
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, just. All right, there we go. I just imported the image, the first image.
All right.
Look at me go. Let me slide that up there. People on YouTube are like, what the heck? But yeah, no, there we go. Locked in, loaded. So we're talking Netflix here. But yeah, when that ended, when the movie ended, I'm like, they're going to do a sequel. Right. But I'm like, well, now all of the reveals are gone.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Now
and that's
what?
Somebody might have been Garmin commented that the other day. It's like, all the fun stuff has been revealed. Yeah, all the reveals have been revealed. So
right.
But it definitely set itself up for a sequel. I don't know about 2 sequels, but we'll have to see what happens in the next one. But yeah, you're just going to go into it with all the interpersonal relationships revealed,
right. Oh yeah.
So,
and I mean, they clearly could do more. This is like a fun Ocean's 3.
Right.
It really
Ocean's
was.
3.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
It really was. It's like, it's the exact same thing. It's like there was, there's a plan that you don't know, but there were hints given away. I thought it was a lot of fun. What you got time? Joe and I watch. That's what took me so long is we sit down to watch these shows together, and it's like it's still hard to do. But you're like, with our schedules, you're like, one morning I was like, hey, before work, let's watch this. We'll start at like 7:30 because it's cold. We'll leave at 9:30. All right. And it was a good time. I enjoyed it. So
good deal. Yeah.
All right. Next up.
All right. So this next bit of news, DJ, convinces me that somebody high up at Marvel Comics listens to our podcast.
Yep.
You know why? And I'm going to tell you why.
I know
because the last 2 episodes of our show, I have made the comment that DC would have to go pretty far to get me to stop reading Batman comics. Somebody at Marvel heard that and said, hold my beer. And made this announcement. The Amazing Spider-Man is relaunching again in April with a new #1 issue and a new creative team, ? Series will be written by Zeb Wells, which is fine. The artist, question mark will be none other than John Romita Jr. And I will not pick up an issue of The Amazing Spider-Man.
I see lots of bright side chats going dark side chats.
So yeah, Marvel's clearly listening, and
oh my,
yeah. Because I guess going back to my statement, DC could have done the same and definitely got me to stop reading Batman.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But I would have said the same thing about Marvel. Like, they would have, even right now, Spider-Man is terrible and I'm still reading it because I'm just always going to read The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But
come
April 1st,
I was hoping this reboot was going to be fun. And then you see the JRJ, and I'm like, I don't know if I can see that.
I can't. Yeah,
Spider-Man with forearms the length of legs.
Like blocky Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man bends a lot, and metal pipes for arms and legs don't bend.
I'll probably pick up the first one. I'll report back, but.
Let me know, but
the last reboot was really good. It started out really well.
It did start out really well. But once Chip left, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Chip. It was Spencer, Nick Spencer.
Okay.
Once Nick Spencer left, and they went to this
Daredevil,
they went to this whole Ben Reilly thing the last couple of months, and it's not been great. But I'm still reading it because it's I keep reading Spider-Man.
Right. Do you think this has anything to do with potentially rebooting Amazing Spider-Man movie series? With Garfield? Tying, just to get that amazing, that way that it's Amazing Spider-Man is back out in the consciousness. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know if enough people are reading Marvel comics that would affect the general movie going public. This is more to coincide. Like, this will be the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man coming up in around April, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And this is to commemorate that. Again,
burying it.
I'm so against the number, because
I know you hate going to number one.
Even if you want to bring in Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. for whatever reason, it can still just be issue 100 or whatever they're up to. It's weekly, so it'll probably be at like issue 370 by then. But you don't have to go to number one, again,
right?
But yeah, I am against this whole prospect of events, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, that's I don't know, it's tough. I'll read it.
The only positive is I think it's monthly and not weekly, so
yeah, and I'll probably flip through it before I start reading, because I gotta see what the artwork is like, because
I'll see it because it'll come into the store. Of course you
will. Yeah, I know you will.
Yeah,
but I'll buy it, flip through it, and then go from there.
Yeah. I mean, John Romita has done long stints on Spider-Man in the past. And you know what, again, I honestly think his artwork is devolving, because back in the day, I didn't mind his art nearly as much as I do now. He's changed style. He's done something, because it wasn't always the best, but it didn't
But now the flaws
literally
jump
repel
out
me.
to you.
It literally repels me away from things when I see his art now, and it didn't used to do that. So, I don't know what's going on there, but anyway, yeah.
Oh well. All right. Next up,
hey, this is great news for me. I don't know if you are a fan of this or not, but
never seen it.
FX has announced
shocker.
I know, right? I'm going to say another one that really should be on your list of things to watch.
It's a long list, John. I have a long list.
And this is 5 seasons, but
I have
FX
2 shows of
announced,
people telling me to watch stuff.
Yeah. FX has announced a Justified revival with Timothy Oliphant returning as Raylan Givens, of course, the main character for Justified. again, I've already made my statement clear. I loved this show. I can't wait for it to come back. A lot of supporting cast will probably not be returning because they didn't make it out of the series finale, quote unquote. But this is supposed to, it's kind of Dexter-ish in a way. Like it takes place years later. He's moved to a new city. So I'm sure he'll have a new supporting cast. And because the same thing with Dexter, a lot of them didn't make it out of Dexter either.
Right.
And, weren't able to come back for the revival. So this is supposed to be more than just a one season thing, though, as opposed to Dexter, which just came back, was only coming back for one more go around. I think this is something that they want to have ongoing. But it's great show.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, this is something that I had no idea was even coming, and it's like already out or already getting ready to come out, which kind of goes back to, remember when we said that? Wouldn't it be great if things just came out and we didn't know about them? But there's an animated Legends of Vox Machina series coming to Amazon Prime this month. This is an adult cartoon series a la like Invincible. Legends of Vox Machina is like the Critical Role guys. They've got comics. It's all D&D based. I know you've read a couple of the comics.
Yeah.
When
this
is
first
coming.
Came out. Yep.
Yeah, this is coming as an animated series. This is a hugely popular property out there, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is going to be great. I didn't do my due diligence enough to see if the characters were going to be voiced by the Critical Role guys. I think they probably are because it would make sense, but considering they're all voice actors to start with, but I don't know for sure. I should have actually looked into that first, but it just popped into my head right now. So, but I would imagine that they probably will be voicing their characters for this. And no firm date, just says this month, but shoot, it's already the 18th, so
yeah,
it's probably coming soon. And I only have one more thing, and I almost left it out because it's hard to do in an audio podcast. But I'm sure you saw
the image.
I know I should have, but I'm sure you saw the picture of Batgirl that was put out there based on the movie from HBO Max.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and
fantastic.
Very, very reminiscent of the 1966 Batgirl, as far as like the bright colors. But it looks like they've gone with like the Batgirl of Burnside version of the costume. But yeah, she looks fantastic. I think this looks great. So
yeah, you should have told me. Should have just put it in the notes. I would have grabbed the image. Yeah,
I should have, but I didn't think about it. I think less about the video part of it than I do the audio part. Yeah. And I was like, it's kind of hard to just talk about a picture, but looks great. Real excited for that.
Cool. All right, what's up next? I'm actually doing some editing here, giving you a better background.
Okay.
What's up next?
That's all I had.
Oh, that's all
I had for
See,
this,
I should have flipped right to it. Look at that.
Yeah.
All righty. What do we got next? I'm trying to get your background in there really nice. I'm trying to edit on the fly while we're talking. And I got more of your collection behind you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Zoomed out for you. So we get less of your face.
And more of my room, which is really what everybody wants to see anyways.
Exactly. John, if you could just get out of the way and take the microphone to the side and just be like...
I'll sit on the floor and you can just shoot the room.
Just wave.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
I'm here.
All right. What are we up next? We are on... Oh, we're on to checkout, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. We're cooking.
We're moving right along.
We're cooking right along, John. Yeah. What did we spend our money on this week? Oh, and here's another thing. I didn't even upload these yet from last week.
You don't have the pictures?
Not yet. So let's chit-chat while we do that. And you could start, and I will find the pictures.
So the first book I read this week is from Dynamite Comics. It's Hell SONJA, issue number 1. It was written by Christopher Hastings, had art by Pasquale Qualano. I think, and had cover art by Lucio Parrillo. Yeah, that cover art by Lucio Parrillo was the best part of this book. I'm guessing that this was like
I didn't
a
think it was
spin-off.
awful, but it
wasn't. But I think this was a spin-off or like a continuation of like the Sonja Versal series that was out several months ago, because that series introduced all of the different like multiverse, like the Blue Sonja and Red Sonja and Moon Sonja and all these other characters that were in this book. I didn't read. I only read the first issue of Sonja Versal, and I didn't actually care for that series either. So I didn't know that this was based on that. So I don't know if this is picking up where one left off or what the connection was. But yeah, again, you've got a group of Sonjas, kind of like the multiverse.
I thought
Spider-Man, right?
I thought their introductions were kind of fun in the way that like it reminded me of the back of the G.I. Joe boxes.
Yeah. Or kids. Like for me, it was kind of like their character sheets for D&D or something.
Yeah.
It was like,
but same idea.
What
I guess.
What their kind of what their background was, what their hobbies are.
Little quote. They had a quote on like what they think. I thought that was kind of fun.
That was fun. I just kind of, I don't know. I didn't really know why anything was happening or what was going on. There's a demon that they're trying to fight, but I don't know why. And like quote unquote, Hell Sonja, I guess, is like the leader of this group, and
yeah, she's got all the power.
Yeah, gives them like,
but they were disconnected because they had a bad landline or something.
Yeah, so she like gives them powers
internet
to
wasn't
fight.
Good.
Yeah, they were in Antarctica. The Wi-Fi was spotty at best.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just found it a little disjointed. Like I didn't quite know what was going on or why. And again, maybe that's because this is like the second part of something that we came in the middle of. I'm not 100% sure. But I know that looking at the synopsis here in front of me, the same creative team did Sonja Versal. So I'm guessing this is like the second mini series of like a multi-mini, kind of like they're doing with Crimson Dawn over at Marvel. They keep doing these like connected mini series.
Yeah.
So maybe we were a little bit had a leg down because we didn't read the other series, but
yeah, I haven't read a ton of Sonja.
But that being said, Sonja. Like this won't.
I did like it. I thought it was fun, and
it was, but this won't keep me going. Like I probably won't read the rest of this series.
Oh yeah, there was nothing there that you were like, I can't wait for book 2. I just thought it was a fun read. I actually was entertained. I read it and it was fun. But like you're right. When you're gonna rank it against like all the books over the years we've had that were like, I can't wait for 2. This is like this is book of the year. I mean, this is just like, wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was kind of just Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like all of their books are sort of the same.
You mean kind of just like Dynamite. You mean the brand, not like
that
was Dynamite, man.
Yeah,
like what are we back in the 70s?
I'm not JJ
Walker. Dynamite.
Yeah, I'm talking the cover. Yeah, the company Dynamite. This was just kind of par for the course with what they do.
Yeah,
all of their stuff is kind of the same. They've got like
except their covers.
They've got like 4 characters and they just spin them into like 900 different versions of themselves in different series. You've got Red Sonja, Vampirella, and that's kind of it, right? And everything else spins out of those 2 characters.
Right.
So,
boom. Now we got Nyx.
We have Nyx. We do have like Sheena. There's Draculina that's coming up. But I mean, again, Draculina spins out of Vampirella. Like they all these books are spinning out of the other, the other books. So
well, yeah, but they've been around for so long. That's why AWA is doing the same thing.
They kind of are. Everything is Resistance now.
Right. Everything is all in that same. not everything, but they have a few.
A lot of it.
Yeah. Right, but that's the idea, that shared universe, and then you get your legs, make some money, get a foundation under you, and then you go off from there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, can't complain.
No, like I said, it's fine. Like I said, it's all kind of the same. So
yeah,
you kind of know what you're in for when you pick up one of these books to read them.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, yeah, especially by the cover.
Right.
All right. Next book.
Next book is from Image Comics, Spawn Scorched #1. The Scorched. Written by Sean Lewis, had art by Steven Segovia and Paolo Siqueira.
Siqueira,
Cover art by Puppeteer Lee. So this had like it felt like there was two distinct
building.
Yeah, but there was two distinct stories here, even though like they weren't billed that way. You could see the difference in the art style, where like one guy stopped and the other guy started. But yeah, this is kind of the book that we've been building towards ever since Spawn Universe. We've got all the Spawns together. You've got She-Spawn, Redeemer, Gunslinger, Medieval Spawn. All together in the big, the Avengers / Justice League. Yeah. Of Spawns. You have like Plague Spawn, who is kind of like Venom, that they're all going to be fighting against. And this just kind of set the stage. Like the first part of the book, you kind of find out how they got their secret hideout, and they're just kind of learning how to be a team together, right? Like that's kind of what this first book was about. Yeah. They have a little bit of a mission that they kind of go, and that's what I mean by there's like a second half to the book. But it doesn't like start over with like page one. Like, sometimes when you get two stories, distinctly that there's two stories. Yeah. This one just kind of like you turned the page and you had a different artist and you were just kind of moving on into the next part of the book. But yeah, I don't know. This was a lot of fun. It's kind of like what we've been waiting for. Kind of all summer long, we've been, talking about what if all the Spawns got together and we had this big team book, and lo and behold,
it was like the next week. Yeah, we were like Scorched. That's what
and
Scorched
the thing is. Scorched was announced right off the bat. I just didn't realize
know what it was. Right,
right. It was going to be the team book. Yeah. I just thought Scorched was another character.
It wasn't exactly. It wasn't called Team Spawn.
Right. It was yeah, I just thought he was another character. Like it was just going to be Scorched Spawn or whatever, But turns out that it's not. And yeah, this is. I think it's going to be fun. Definitely looking forward to the next issue.
I really like the ending.
I like the ending. I like the. Yeah, and I like the art. In both halves.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Both guys did a great job. Steven Segovia, I'm familiar with. I've seen his art before. But Paolo, who I'm guessing was the second part of the book, I don't recall seeing his art anywhere, but it was great. Really, really good. So
yeah. I thought the story was. I think a couple of pages in, I was thinking, wow, I'm not really sure this is for somebody that hasn't read Spawn. But then by like page 5, I was like, they did a good job of giving you the information that you need. So if you have if you know who Spawn is, and if you're a comic book fan, you know who Spawn is. You could pick this up and be thoroughly entertained and informed on everything. And I thought it was that aspect of it I thought was really good. Like you don't have to have read anything, but you do get the little nuggets like of Gunslinger. There are a couple of lines in there that you would just take for granted, or it's not like you felt like you were missing anything. But for instance, when he was bleeding, and they would say like he's wounded. Well, if you're following along Gunslinger, you know what that means and what it means to his character and stuff. And you're like, oh, okay. But if you haven't been reading that, no, it doesn't hurt. Yeah. They actually kind of inform you what's going on, what it was. So I little things like that I thought were cool. Like there were things that you would know, like longtime readers like myself, you understand it a little bit better.
You do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I feel the same. Like I felt like it did a good job of standing on its own, but you're definitely served if you've been reading the other especially the other
weeks now I've been on this.
Yeah, the other series. Because again, I don't read Spawn, but I have read the others. I've been reading
you're reading King Spawn
and Gunslinger and this one. So even not reading Spawn, I felt like I was right in this. I didn't have any problems figuring out what was going on.
She-Spawn doesn't have a book. She doesn't. She showed up recently somewhere in one of the books.
I think she's part of the
King Spawn.
Well, I think she's part of the regular Spawn series, but yeah, she popped up in
popped up recently somewhere.
Or King Spawn.
King Spawn.
The one that I haven't really seen is Redeemer, which I think is from the main Spawn title.
He was in the book. He was in the.
I know he was in the Spawn universe. Right.
Yeah.
I've seen the character before.
Yeah.
But he's not in. Cool. But he doesn't have like his own book or.
Yeah.
Of course, neither does Medieval Spawn. So a lot of these guys don't have their own ongoing book right now.
I just loved. There was a really nice story arc in here that's separate from the main story of the team, but at the end, how it all comes together, and you're like, haha! It's a great Spawn book because Spawn is like, I mean, it was really good. And then at the end, did you see, after the story where they like Todd McFarlane's tweets? He's like, where we started, where we are.
Some of them,
and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
like,
it was just a picture of Spawn number 1 and then a picture of a bunch of covers from this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, how far it's coming. What is it, 30 years, right? It's been 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Yeah. And when he started out, he wasn't expecting that. He wasn't, I think it was like a 12-issue run or something.
Right, he was just launching Image Comics. They weren't even sure Image Comics would be around a year later, you know? These guys had no idea what was going to happen.
Thanks to Spawn, they stuck around, and we get great stuff like Monkey Meat.
Exactly.
So we have Spawn.
We owe it all to Todd.
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bin Laden.
Yeah. I'll be checking the mail for my $3.99 back.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, all right. All right. What are we up? Oh, let's see. What do we got coming out next week?
Next week we have Arrowsmith.
Nice. They're awesome.
Not to be confused with the band. This is Arrowsmith. But Arrowsmith number 1 and then Bolero number 1.
Nice.
So yeah, so Bo Derek will be on hand next week and
oh my.
Couldn't find it fast enough.
I know. Nobody listening even knows who Bo Derek is, but
Stroking his bald cat.
He was rode wet and put away hard. But for those of us of a certain age, we remember her fondly.
Oh, yep. She's a 10.
Yeah.
And that's literal. So, all right. What else did you read this week? Anything of note? Anything good?
Couple things. Daisy number 2.
Daisy.
I don't know if you got a chance to read that one or not.
Did we read one?
Yeah, we read one. Daisy was the one. She was like the giant, and
that's right.
The mom was looking for her son. So I'm taking it you didn't read number 2. It was actually pretty good, and it answered some more things and set up some more mystery. This is actually, I think, going to be a good series. It's only 4 or 5 issues, but I actually remembered to read number 2 because that's the problem with a lot of these things is we read a lot of number 1s for the show, and then I forget to go back and read number 2. But I did pick this one up, and it was pretty good.
Cool.
Also read Daredevil: Woman Without Fear, which came out last week.
See that one? Yeah. Cool.
Obviously, it's written by Chip Zdarsky. This is kind of the continuation of Daredevil and Devil's Reign. Elektra. Daredevil.
I'll have to grab that.
Yeah, really good. I was surprised it was out already. I didn't think this was going to come out until after Devil's Reign. But then it's like I saw it on my invoice, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that was already coming."
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even look for it. So,
but yeah, I'd been looking forward to it anyways. But 5-issue mini coming out and started off pretty strong. And then last thing, I read the issue 3 of Robin and Batman, which was the last issue. It was only a 3-issue series.
Oh, okay.
Again, this was really good. This was a great little 3-issue mini series, kind of retelling Dick Grayson's origin early day. It was kind of like Robin year one in a way.
Yep.
And did you read this at all?
No.
Really good. I really recommend it. The only thing that kind of bugged me a little bit about it was kind of like right at the very end. You know, there's a nice moment with Bruce and Dick, but he's kind of like hugging him, and he's like, "You're such a good boy," and I'm thinking, he's not your dog. Like, I don't know who says that. You know what I mean? It was kind of like they were bent down and he was hugging him, kneeling down. I was kind of waiting for him to start scratching him behind the ears and, you know, telling him what a good boy he was.
His leg starts going.
Yeah. It just felt a little bit out of like, not Bruce, because I have a hard time seeing Bruce say that at all.
Yeah, him being sentimental at all is.
But it just kind of felt like, yeah, I'm not your dog. Like,
right.
Don't pat me on the head and tell me what a good boy I am.
Yeah.
But all that being said, it was a great series. Like I said, it didn't really, you know, we all know Dick Grayson's origin, right? Like, you know, we know how he got to be Robin and where he came from. But again, not as much of like the early days of him learning to be Robin and, you know, training and kind of a lot of times failing and letting Bruce down, you know, and all that stuff. And yeah, it was just really good. So I really recommend picking that up. It's only 3 issues. So
cool. Did you read Dark Ages #4?
I feel like I did, but I don't remember.
The ships. You got Storm powering the ships.
Yes, I did.
And going back to Europe.
Yeah, I did.
Go after Tony and
Nick
Fury.
Sue's going out looking for Reed.
Yep.
Yeah, I did. I guess it didn't stand out as much as the first 3 issues did.
Yeah,
so it was a little bit of a lull.
Yeah. Because it literally, when you look at the story, it was like the first 3 issues had battles, they had humor,
right.
They had the new world dealing with, you know, Dark Ages.
Right.
And then this one was a ship coming into port and then a ship going back out. That's literally what the story was about. And them arguing why they shouldn't go back out.
Yeah.
And then kind of a violently surprising ending. And then you're like, all right, can't wait for 5. But there's only 2 books left. So, and I guess 5 is called Across Europe or something like that, the story or whatever. But it's pretty good. I mean, the Dark Ages
it's still a good series. Yeah, it's still a good series, but that issue felt, like I said, like a little bit of a, maybe it's like intermission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a lot happened there, but
yeah. So, and did you read Knighted? The Knighted #3? That's the one. AWA,
yes,
Batman knockoff.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That's a fun That's a fun book.
Yeah. Same thing. Same way. And I read Nick's too. Same thing. They're just, they're fun books. And Nick's, you got the whole, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. That's what with,
it's Dynamite.
Dynamite version. But it's the exact same thing actually, because it is Dynamite. But it's just fun and good art.
The other one I read last night, actually, and I didn't even realize I had fallen behind, but I read the last 2 issues of Not All Robots.
Oh yeah! Oh wow! I gotta find that.
I kind of forgotten about that, and then I was like, 4 and 5 are out.
What made you think of that?
I just saw it at the store, and I realized that I hadn't read the previous issue. So yeah, pretty good ending to that, and definitely sets up like the second story arc. There's going to be more of this because it's not over by any means. But yeah, it was pretty good. Definitely look for those last 2
Yeah, we're up
issues
to 5.
and read those. Yeah, 5 is the end of this like arc. So it's the end of part 1. Don't know when it'll come back. Probably next year or so.
Okay. Yeah.
But super fun. That was an interesting book.
Cool. And I am still plugging away on Ready Player 2.
Yeah.
Really? I like it.
Yeah.
I can't say, honestly, I don't read a ton. So when I'm even going to say like little rudimentary writing, you know, but it's still, I like the idea. There's still, I won't give anything away, but if you like the movie, or especially if you like the movie, this I think is a good second story to that.
Right.
Where the characters, they've won, obviously, from the movie, and now they add in this new tech that I told you about last week and how that can affect the world. And they're literally the parallels to drugs are amazing, and the arguments that they're having and what they're doing. I just think I can't even imagine if we had that, like literally like the neural like you could make it part of your brain. What is that?
Hold on, it's my wife coming in. Yeah. Baby, I'll talk to you when I'm done.
But yeah, so that was fun.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. But yeah, no, that just the parallels to drugs and how if you could have video games pumped directly into your brain,
right?
What would that do to the world? And people are addicted to video games now as we have them. Never mind the Oasis, how you had it there, which is coming. We're getting the Oasis. That's metaverse, right? We're getting that. And it won't be long before we have the Oasis. And now when do we end up with this new tech, which is like I told you last week, like Strange Days, where it's just in your head.
Right.
And
people will live the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And never come out of it.
Yeah.
They'll be like they'll be like on life support on a bed getting fed intravenously and then living their life in this world,
Well, one character says this isn't like drugs, and he got into a big argument. And then he's like, I'm just so upset. And he put the game system on so he could just forget his pain. What do you mean it's not like drugs?
Yeah, exactly.
He's the one arguing.
Exactly like drugs.
Exactly. But that's great. It's a little bit more of a story, there's more to it, but it is fun. It is, and I would love to see it get remade. I think it could be darker so far. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't read the end.
I'm sure I'm sure there'll be a movie at some point.
Maybe. Well, Spielberg did the first one, or he liked the first one, but yeah. So that was it for me. Really enjoying that. So it's kind of taking a hit on all my comics, but hey, I'm reading, John.
Yeah,
Look
reading is reading.
I'm a
reading is fundamental.
Man. Yep, real Renaissance man.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to get to real world?
I am.
All righty. Where is our real world button? There it is. Roll it.
Roll it.
There we go.
I have a pretty short week this week, actually. I didn't watch.
John, what am I going to do with all the spare time?
I know. My wife was gone most of the week, so we weren't able to watch a lot of the things that we normally would watch together. So I watched a lot of football, NFL and otherwise. Watched a lot of sports.
Good for you.
I did watch a couple of things. I watched the first episode of Euphoria season 2. Dropped last week. The second episode already dropped yesterday, but I haven't seen it yet. It just kind of picks up where the other series left off.
Yeah.
But I will say that like I mentioned before, at the end of last season, they have like the 2 kind of like Christmas episodes that they put out that definitely are part, like you have to watch those before you jump into season 2. So they're not extraneous stories. Like they kind of felt like they were separate things, but the season 2 kind of picks up after those episodes. So definitely watch those if you're, before you get to season 2. And then The Expanse wrapped up. I watched the season finale of season 6. It was only 6 episodes for the final season, which was, I will say, going into the finale, I was not convinced that they could wrap this story up in 45 minutes. There was a lot of dangling story threads that were out there. And I'm not going to say they resolved every one of them, but they did a pretty good job. This was a great finale. I think this series goes down, especially after the way they ended it, as one of the really great sci-fi shows. If you like Battlestar Galactica and you like some of that other stuff, This show
Space
is
1999.
really fantastic.
Yeah, I had another listener asking me about it just today or yesterday on my other podcast, asking me if and I did start it. I'm into season 2.
Right.
But yeah, it's
now there was some talk. This is a 9-book series, and each season has more or less tackled one of the books. So there was some talk that it may be shopped around again to go somewhere else and tell the additional 3 books. I wouldn't turn down more of this, but I would think the way this ended, they don't need to do that. Like, obviously, I haven't read them, so I don't know
not like season 3 of Lucifer.
Exactly.
You're like, what the hell?
Yeah. I don't know what the other books would bring to the story. I'm sure there's more. Obviously, there's more to it, but this ended. It had a satisfying ending. Like, it was really good. Yeah. So, I really recommend. I know you've started it. I'm sure you'll get to it eventually. But for others that are looking for things to watch that actually have time to watch things, this is a great show. I definitely recommend it. I mean, it's 6 at this point. There's probably, there's a good 70 episodes or so of this. There's a chunk. There's a chunk of it, and because the earlier seasons were longer. They were 9 to 10 episodes per season. Right. So. And
that's not a turn on. I actually like that.
No, because it's not.
You've got a bunch of stuff ahead of you.
Right.
And it's like it's something you can invest in and come back to, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'll probably get back into it.
Well, and this is definitely a show, like I've rewatched Battlestar 3 times. This is definitely a show that I'll go back to.
This is longer than that, though.
It's longer,
Battlestar's what, 3 or 4 seasons?
It was 4 seasons, and it's about 50 episodes or so total.
Yeah.
But this is definitely a series I'll go back and revisit, because I was starting this when I came up to, for my grandmother's funeral, when I was up to see you guys. I had just started the show. Yeah. So I really only watched the last 2 seasons kind of live, quote unquote. Right. But even still, it's been 3 years almost since I started. So by the ending, I could definitely go back and start again and, feel like I could pick up some new stuff. So,
yeah.
And there's not a lot of shows that I feel like compelled to rewatch, but that's definitely one. So,
cool.
So enough on that. And then I watched another. I wanted to check out another IMAX enhanced movie, so I watched Black Widow.
Oh yeah,
on Disney
that
Plus.
One was nice. That one came out.
It was nice, and that one was not 100%.
No.
IMAX enhanced.
It's variable aspect ratios.
It was variable. And now I will say I did find myself, once I got kind of engrossed back in the movie, not noticing every time that it was switching back and forth, because sometimes it's subtle and you don't always know. Because it was like 20 minutes into the movie before it even had its first IMAX enhanced scene. So
it was kind of like kind of slow.
Kind of slow, because you get the whole backstory, and none of that was enhanced. It was kind of really when Yelena and Natasha meet and start fighting and do the bike chase in Prague. That's kind of where it starts. But again, this is a movie most people have seen, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. But I did enjoy a second viewing of it, and the IMAX enhanced I thought was, like I said, when I did notice it, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I really like it. I was talking with somebody. Maybe it was you. I don't know. But like when you go to that IMAX enhanced version, it's like the idea of it sometimes is like you said, like you don't even realize it's happening, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my god! It's like you edged up closer to your screen. Like you're like, oh wow, because it just got bigger on you. You haven't moved, but it feels like you leaned into the story a little bit to look in a little bit better. The ending,
and the
battle
scenes
stuff were great.
Obviously, when it's variable like that, they pick and choose the scenes that they do it on.
But they shoot it in,
and they're usually the action scene. They're the more energetic scenes, and so it kind of stands out when you're watching it.
Yeah, because the idea of variable used to be because those projectors, it's the not projectors, the cameras to film that. are so expensive to film in IMAX. It's like when you read the history on IMAX, filming in IMAX, and remember when we were kids and you go to the Museum of Science in Boston, they had the IMAX screen in real IMAX footage, and it was like, that's it takes like millions of dollars to film like a 30-second piece of footage because they actually use the film in a different way, and it's crazy. It's insane how they do all this, and then they have to record on a completely different system. So it was a very expensive. It's a very expensive endeavor to film a scene. Like, so when Christopher Nolan did it, that was still back when it was pretty expensive to do. But now they have IMAX digital camera, and it's a little bit cheaper, so they can do a whole movie that way and still be effective at it. So there's a just Google it. There's a huge history of IMAX. There's a bunch of stuff that I got inundated with it over on home theater because people, read this. And there's a whole bunch of articles. I read probably like 4 or 5 of them, and they're all very similar, same information. So it's pretty cool though. Pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. And then last thing that I watched was we finished Vigil.
Yeah.
Actually we finished that last night. That was such a good show.
It is an amazing show. It's a really good show, but I had one thing I wanted to ask you about that I don't think it's even a spoiler, especially nowadays, but I really wanted to talk to somebody about this. Did you feel, and this might be controversial.
Okay.
Did you feel like the lesbian relationship was pointless? I didn't, it played no part in the story. It was just, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt like, and I don't know, and I kept saying to Jen, I'm like, maybe it's their chemistry. Those two together didn't work.
They weren't on the screen together very often because it was a relationship that was being told through flashbacks because she's on the boat and the other girl's on land, and they're both in the show a lot, but not together.
Right. But here's my thing. I wanted to say, like, it's not that I'm against a lesbian relationship, and nothing. Let's get that out there right off the bat. It's nothing offends me about it, except for the fact that you could have made this entire show without either of them having any kind of relationship with anybody, because the point of the show was the mystery around what's going on the sub and the political drama with it. And it's like, there were some actors in there. There were other characters. You didn't know if they were married, divorced, or whatever, or had a girlfriend. The only 2 characters that the relationship mattered was the medical doctor and the guy on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like, I felt like this is one of those cases where they kind of wedged it in for the sake of having that relationship in a show.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it was as important as most relationships in most other shows. You know what I mean? They're just kind of there to show that
the show, though. It's part of the show. It's like, because sometimes there's, what was the show we're watching recently that it's like, For All Mankind. For All Mankind, that is a fantastic version of it because what they had to go through back then, the secrecy. Right. So that was I remember talking to Joe about it and saying, like, no, I understand, like, why people would feel that way back in the 60s and 70s. And the way you were raised, the way this, and then the whole security aspect of it, like, because they could use this over your head to get secrets from you and everything. So it's a huge part of the story, right?
Right.
But then you go, and maybe that's why it kind of jumped out at me, because you go through, For All Mankind, it's like, it's a big part of the story. It doesn't feel like it's wedged in for the sake of it. But then you see Vigil and you're like, is it going to play out somehow? And it never, ever did. Nobody was going to get in trouble for it. Nothing.
No, but I feel like it kind of did because they had to establish the relationship between those characters being... Now, again, they could have just been a close working relationship. It didn't have to be romantic.
She's somebody there's nobody I trust more. All right, end of story.
Right, but it was kind of like... Right, but there was like the secret messages that she was having to send, where it was kind of like, oh, he had this tattoo and it was of my favorite book and stuff like that. And so it was trying to establish that they had a very intimate relationship. You know, that's why she was able to say, oh, your favorite book was, you know, the girl with the dragon tattoo, and he has a dragon tattoo. Spoilers. Right. You know, but like you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that if they were just friends or coworkers, you know, because I don't know what your favorite book is. I've known you for 40 years. You know what I mean? So
right.
John, but, you know,
if I slept with you, you'd still not know what it was.
Well, if you were reading it in bed next to me and talking about it, you know, I might remember that.
John, let's be honest. If we're in bed together, I ain't reading.
Yeah, right. So I think that's So I think that was the kind of the point of that was that it was just trying to show that they had this connection that they could pass these messages back and forth, and
I just felt it was weak. It just weak to the story, and it's like because there's so, like you said, there's so much of it anyways, which is fine. But I felt like this was like it almost felt like at the end of the writing, like, oh, you know what we forgot to do?
We have to check it off our list.
It's like, oh man, we forgot that. And it's number 2 on the list.
Right.
Like, how did we forget to add that? Same-sex relationship. Oh my God.
Right.
All right, who can we go? Who wants to do it? Show of hands.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I thought they did a good job of kind of, you know, you thought it was like 3 different people through the course of the show. You know, they did a good job of leading you down different paths and then changing direction. Because a lot of times like you said, you and I, we watch a lot of TV. So a lot of things you peg kind of early on.
Yeah,
but this one I didn't really, you know, I didn't figure it out until kind of the end, you know.
I figured out who it wasn't pretty early. I knew that. You know who it isn't.
Well, because again, we're spoiling things. Although this came out in September, so if you want to watch it, you should have watched it.
Yeah, but we are, but we aren't. It's like, I mean,
but what I was gonna say is like kind of like the first officer. You know it's not him because they arrest him like in the second episode. It's too early.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
You don't wrap it up that quickly, so you know it can't be him. And so everybody that they point to in the first 3 episodes, you know it's not any of those guys because it's too early on. So,
but each of those characters still plays a great role.
They do
that you probably don't see coming. But even the acting in it too.
Yeah.
Certain characters you come to dislike a lot. Other characters you come to like, and then you're like, and then later you come to dislike, but then re-like again. It's They do a really good job with it. It was a fun show about a submarine mystery.
But it was a little different. Like I've never really seen a show like that before, where like she was kind of locked into that sub, trying to like. The only thing that bothered me about it is I kept thinking, I don't know that they'd send her alone to be locked in. Like, you know, there should have been a partner there because she got into some hairy situations, and there was nobody that cared about what happened to her. It was kind of like her against the sub, you know, and like nobody really had her back. So I was kind of like, maybe they would have sent a partner with her on the boat.
Have you ever been on a sub, like a tour of one, like but
I've never been. Yeah, I've never been
out to ocean, But it was funny. Jen was watching the show, and she comes out of a room in one of the scenes, and she's on the sub, obviously. She comes out of a room, and she goes running to look for somebody. And Jen's like, "How does she know where she's going? It's a sub."
Yeah, it goes.
I mean, it's like being lost on an island. It's just keep walking in a circle. You can't go anywhere.
When you get to the other end, you turn around and go back.
Turn around and try again. It's like you're not going anywhere.
Right.
It's like just walk down the main hall and look to the left, look to the right, and keep on going. It's like, I mean, I'm sure these big nuclear subs have bigger rooms and stuff, but
they do,
like, but it's still like,
and they have levels, you know, they have
it's not rocket
levels.
Science. Yeah. Just don't go on the one filled with water.
At the end of the day, you're going one direction or the other.
I got to search for somebody. It's still a sub. It's not an aircraft carrier. I know that. I've been on those too. You do a tour of an aircraft carrier, and that's insane.
Yeah.
You can work on an aircraft. I heard that one once when I was on a tour. You can work there for like 5 years and not know everybody on the aircraft.
Well, it's kind of a floating city.
It is.
You know, they're big. Yeah.
Yeah. So big. They carry aircraft, John. I heard.
They do, yeah. One or two.
Yeah, maybe even 3 in an emergency.
Maybe even 3.
And they shoot them off with rubber bands.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, like I said, a lot of sports this weekend. I watched all the NFL, watched a couple of, soccer games.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. All right. How about obviously, I'm going through For All Mankind. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm into season 2, John.
Awesome.
Season 2 really good too.
It is really good. I think better than season 1 actually. By the time
that's what Joe said too.
Yeah.
Joe was saying the same thing. He thinks it's better. But at the same time, I'd like to give a little pushback on that. I don't think it would be as good if you didn't have such great development in season 1.
Well, yeah, you can say that about any show too, right? Like season 2 was better than season 1, but if season 2 came first, it probably wouldn't have been as good, right? Because you wouldn't know any of the characters.
That's what I mean. I think like season 2, on any show, you can not be as good. We know that. It's like you're kind of resting on the laurels. But what they did here with season 2 of For All Mankind and C is they kept the story going and they develop it, and they like hit you sideways with a character or two, right? And like Gordo, whoops.
Yeah.
Gordo let himself go.
He did, yes.
Yeah, that was great though with the zipper. My zipper broke. No, it shrunk in the wash.
Yeah.
But that whole entire story is, I love what they're doing there with him. Then they're doing with what's his name, the main guy, Captain Flag.
I don't remember his name either.
Is that his name, Ben? And then Gordo's wife, what she's going through. I mean, you could see the perspective from everybody.
Right.
Great stories. It's and then you get the action of going back and forth to space and how they've normalized it, but then how they work it into real world. It's a lot of fun. It's like, it's funny. Like Joe really likes it, but most of the real world stuff goes right over his head.
Well, yeah, because it's semi-historical, but it's skewed.
They bend it. They bend history to but it's funny.
But
it's like
some
it brings
of the events
it back around.
Right. Some of the events, stay constant. So So again, if you're of a certain age, like us, you remember some of that. But
they also use
more,
destiny too. Like you're destined regardless. So in real life, we all know Chappaquiddick and Ted Kennedy. His entire presidential hopes were dashed because of Chappaquiddick. Well, in For All Mankind, Ted Kennedy gets to the presidency, but then his future presidential hopes are dashed because of the same woman.
Right.
It's like, so they did a really good job with that. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought it was good. Ronald Reagan ends up president earlier, but still, I mean, it's just they work in a lot, and I like how they move the mouths. You can see it's a little blurred just a little bit so that they can get the right words in there, but on the historical people, but that's pretty cool. Let's see, Mayor of Kingstown. We're still, Jen and I are still plugging away on that.
Okay, I didn't realize you didn't finish that.
No, we hadn't finished it. We're still plugging away on that and on Euphoria. We're working on that too. We're we should have that wrapped up this week and then into season 2.
Cool.
Pretty soon. So, and then other than that, we just have, I think Under Siege. Steven Seagal.
Oh, I was to say the Steven Seagal movie.
Steven Seagal, 1992. Yeah. John, he was a chef.
He was.
I recorded my podcast last night with Todd about it. So that's what we'll be talking about on Friday. Cool. Not the best Blu-ray in the world, but still a really fun time in a theater.
It's a fun movie.
It is.
It's a fun movie.
It is. Erica Laniak. Ooh.
Yeah.
Miss July.
Coming out of that big cake.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things we talked about in the podcast. Where like I labeled that scene gratuitous.
Right. Yeah, a bit.
A bit? Yeah, we talked about it for like 10 minutes last night. It was so funny. Because you'll hear it in the podcast, but it's like, why? What? Yeah. But the other thing is I told people, and I told Joe when we were watching it, remember at the beginning and they're showing the I'm like, that was real. That Playboy, that she was in that Playboy.
Oh yeah,
Like she was the Playboy, but it's like, unless you're, Playboy historians like ourselves, you wouldn't know that. So you get that little nugget of information.
Well, because the thing is, she was big in our day. Like nobody now knows who she is. You know what I mean?
Well,
she
Baywatch.
wasn't she on Bay? Yeah, she was on Baywatch.
She
and
was on Baywatch,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She almost wasn't because of that Playboy appearance.
Right.
Then once they let her in, well, they had to let Pam Anderson in.
Yeah. You know a little bit too much about this, DJ.
No, I actually just watched. That was part of the show, the Dark Side of the 90s or whatever. Yeah, that was it was on that one. So that's the only reason I know. It's like I did like Erica Laniak. She was,
of course.
I mean, but then you had the whole Dark Side of the 90s, and then she was one of the first people to be hired for Baywatch. Right. But they tried to cancel her. They didn't want her on the show because they wanted it to be a family show.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
And it was so funny watching them say it with a straight face in that Dark Side of the 90s or whatever. And they're like, well, they wore the bathing suits, but they were cut specifically for each actress. So everything was cleanly seriously? I'm like, try to get any woman in real life to put on one of those where like the hip cut is like up to by the armpits.
Right. That show was always going to be what it was.
No
it was
lifeguard is wearing that. Never mind. Jesus, we were kids back then. And I'm like, hon, why don't you wear something like that? Because I'm not that.
Because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was the family show. But yeah, they let her on. So that's cool. So we're down to the big two. What'd you think of Book of Boba Fett this week?
I continue to just be whelmed by it.
Yeah. It's not bad, but it's not I have a hard time remembering what it was about.
Yeah. I tell you, I know I'm going to get the, bad Star Wars fan vibe or whatever, but like, I really did not dig the Vespas that was like, I thought they did not fit Star Wars, honestly. Like
they're too colorful.
They were way too bright and colorful.
They look like they shot them out of a Pez dispenser.
Yeah, I know. Like Garmin was on his show, kind of taking the opposite side of that. But I was like, I don't know, man. This doesn't fit Star Wars, and specifically doesn't fit this show. The world they're setting up with Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett is not that bright and colorful.
Well, you know what's so funny is...
And they look, even it wasn't even so much that they were bright, but it was like they were spotless. Like, they live on a desert planet. They were, like, polished and, like...
Yeah.
No chips in the paint.
Water is scarce.
They look like you just did those. Like, you just finished working on all of them,
Yeah.
And I thought they just felt so out of place that I was like, that bugged me. The rest of the story was fine, but like I said, it's just so. Like, it's not great.
You're right. That's a slight but huge inconsistency with the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
I liked what they did with him dealing with them and dealing with the situation. That was pretty cool. But we needed more. We need more of that and less of this brightening up of the Star Wars universe and brightening up of Boba Fett. Boba Fett was the baddest character other than, we were as afraid of Boba Fett as we were of Vader, but it was more from ignorance. Like, you just don't know. Well, now they're taking that mystery and that lore and they're kind of ruining it. I think they're taking Boba Fett, like, even in Mandalorian, they played into that. Like, he was a badass. He was great in that. Now he's just this.
He's a watered down version of himself. And I don't know why they're doing it. Because you can make him like
he's a mental mess,
anti-hero, but like you can make him like a Punisher type character and still not have him
an
be
anti-hero.
Yeah, right. Like he can still be, he can still kill people. He can still be, whatever. But I don't know what they're doing with him. A lot of people were criticizing the Sand People story. That doesn't bother me. I actually think it's kind of cool. Although we're getting...
What's the critique on it, though? Like, that they should just be all bad? Like,
or I think they're just spending too much time on it. but
maybe
they definitely, I think we're done with that now. Spoilers. I don't think we're going back there again. And they're probably not going to do what I thought that was going to happen, which was, that the Sand People were going to kind of rise up and help him out. I don't see that happening anymore. But so then it kind of lends you back to what was the point of all of it, Like if they don't pay off later on in the show, then why did we spend so much time there,
Right.
And I feel like that might be a miss depending on how the rest of the show plays out. But, again, spoilers, I don't know how they come back and do anything because, they were dealt with in this episode. So,
I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't.
I mean, I'm gonna watch everyone. Look forward to it.
Of course I am.
Every Wednesday night, Joe gets home from work. We sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Love it. But it's as far as these Marvel and Star Wars shows go, it's got to be my lowest ranked. Gotta be
so far. Unless it, and again, there's only 3 left now. That was number 3 or number 4.
Like that. Yeah,
that was number 4, right? So there's only 3 left. Yeah. So. Yeah, they're definitely going to have to really turn it up a couple of notches,
right,
to make it to raise the show higher for me, because right now it's not as good as most of the other stuff we've seen. So
and the other big one last week, Peacemaker.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I watched episode 1. I actually came home from where I had some time. I watched episode 2 before we got on. I'm watching it with Joe. I shouldn't have watched it. I was trying to catch up for the show, but
I just like I said, I mentioned I didn't get a lot of chance to watch stuff like that. And
right, because
we chose to finish Vigil first because we were almost done with it. So we'll start that by next week. I'll have all 4 episodes. I'll be all caught up. So
it's an adult show, John. Just be warned.
I've heard.
I was at my parents for their anniversary the other day, and my little nephew's like, "Dad, I can't wait to see Peacemaker." I looked at his dad and went, "No.
Don't let him watch that."
I think he's like 11.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't. I probably would have let Joe watch it when he was 11, not knowing, but I would have been like, "Oh my God."
After the first half hour or so, you would have turned it off.
Wait till you see. You couldn't have gotten the TV off fast enough. It was like...
Well, again, if you've seen the movie, you kind of know what you're in for, and probably notched up a couple. Movie. Yeah, probably,
especially episode 1. You'll know when you see it. You'll be like, "Oh, I don't want my 11-year-old seeing that."
Yeah,
I know my 11-year-old sees that.
I know it's very not safe for work. But
yeah. And then episode 2 was not as bad as that for adult content, anyways. Oh, a lot of F-bombs and stuff, but really good. John Cena.
But I've heard it's great.
It's very entertaining.
Really fun.
The opening sequence, the dance number they do, fantastic. And it's like, and here's another thing, John. Follow along on a podcast. They have a podcast called the Peacemaker Podly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know what it means, you'll get it after you see the show. But they have a pod, and James Gunn was on the first podcast, and he said that opening sequence actually evolves with the show as the show goes along. So it might not, if you're not paying attention, you might not see the differences, but there are differences in it, and it's going to follow along. And you'll see the dance number, and it's like the first time you're watching it, like Joe and I literally looked at each other and went like, "What the hell?" But it's really, really good. It's funny. It's very entertaining. It looks like what they're trying to do with Book of Boba Fett, but it doesn't fit with Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
It's like trying to be colorful and fun, and like that doesn't work with Boba Fett. He's got a dent in his helmet.
Exactly.
So, but so all right, cool. All right, looking forward to that next week. Talking to you about that. So, but all right, that will do it then, I guess, for this week. That's all we have. Wrapping it up in a nice tidy hour and 20 minutes. Look at us go. All right. That'll do it for this week, everybody. Have a great week. If you want to talk to us and you want to get your comment on the show, get them in. We'll read some of them, right, John? We'll pick and choose. I'll put them all neatly in the mailbag. This is how I do it. Yep, crunch that up really nice. There we go.
We'll reach in and pull them out randomly.
And then if you get red, you get red. You get mentioned here. But yeah, you can reach us at brightside_chat, or you can email us at thebrightsidechat@gmail.com. Don't ask me why I put the in front when I made that Gmail account. I don't know. Brightside Chat wasn't already taken. I just put the. I don't know. Because the Brightside Chat. Or you can tweet directly at John. He loves those comments, especially at like 2 a.m, asking him specific questions.
Yeah.
At Arkham Comics with an X, and he will forward those on to me, and maybe those will make it on the show. We can't guarantee it though, because who knows? All right. Have a great week, everybody. See you next week.
Take care, everyone.